Well, hello, viewers. Welcome to the LifeWest Leadership Line. Dr. Ron Oberstein. I'm so glad that you can check in with us. Our guest today is I would call him a renowned chiropractor, Dr. Sergio Azzolino. Sergio practices, he's a LifeWest grad, been practicing for 25 years. He practices in downtown San Francisco, has a phenomenal practice. I want to read you just a few things. He's going through school. He graduated LifeWest along with being a diplomat program in neurology. Sergio, I don't know how you did that, but you did that. He's a fellowship of the functional neurology, and he's also a Harvard Global Clinical Scholar and Research a graduate. He's a president of the American Chiropractic Neurology Board. And Sergio, besides all this other stuff, he also finds time to be on our board of chiropractic examiners in California. I know it's kind of running out, but he's on the board of the examiners, was the chair of the board. He's in his last year right now. And I don't know how you do all this, man, but you do it all, and I'm thankful that you do it all. So thank you, and welcome to the Leadership Line.
Thank you, Ron, and it's a pleasure to be here. And you know how we do it. We have a purpose, and so we have to just keep marching forward.
A big purpose, I know. Hey, let's talk. Let's jump into it for our listeners. Let's talk about Essential. You've been open this whole time, correct? Going through this? You know, the COVID?
We have. We've been open since day one.
Yeah, talking about being essential, because that's always been a big word. It's a question people have in different areas, different states. This is going to be all over the world, this video. But talk about being essential.
Yeah, quite interestingly, as you know, we're the first ones to shut down in California, or I would say the first state to shut down was California. And so we're very intimately involved with conversations among the board, with the CCA, and with the Department of Consumer Affairs. We're all trying to figure out what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and whatnot. And, kudos to everybody. Everybody worked together as a great team, the CCA, the board. I think we all had a unified vision. My phone was blowing up. There was all kinds of people calling saying, what do we do? What do we do? Are we essential? It's the first time I really looked and thought, essential? I said, well, maybe you should ask your patients that, because I think my patients think I'm essential. Our entire team is working, and I think most patients think their chiropractors are certainly essential. I believe my chiropractor is essential. I couldn't imagine living without him, especially in a time of crisis and stress and whatnot. So my recommendation was quite simply, focus on what you need to do to serve your patients, not on yourself, not on whether the profession's essential, not on whether you're individually essential, but focus on what you need to do to serve your patients. And certainly, patients need us at this time. Yeah. People are scared. They don't want to go to an emergency room.
Exactly. It's safe to say this too. Some people felt they weren't comfortable going in the office. Some team members or staff weren't comfortable going in the office, and that's fine too. We know it's whatever someone has to do. But one of the things, Sergio, is that you see a wide variety of people. You're in downtown San Francisco. I'm going to share a story that you told me the other day, when we talked about coming on the Leadership Line, about the homeless in a second. But one of the biggest things for us is keeping people out of the hospitals, and I know you see a wide variety in your practice, right? Share with us about your practice, of who you're seeing and even that first week, the story that you told me about that first week, but also besides the first week in COVID, talk to people about what you're doing in your practice. You've got such a phenomenal practice. I think it's well worth noting.
We've had a multidisciplinary practice for 20 years, essentially. We've had a variety of specialties here. We currently have 3 naturopaths. I've always had medical physicians, many chiropractors, mainstream chiropractors, and also chiropractic neurologists. So we've had physical therapists. We've had a pretty robust crew of different practitioners. Back to what you were saying about essential, I mean, the most critical thing and the most challenging thing was keeping staff's morale high. And they're an extremely essential part of the team, as you know, because none of us can do what any of us do without our staff supporting us. So kudos to all them also. But in our practice, we see a variety of things from a high number of children with learning disabilities and neurodevelopmental disorders. I have a diplomate in that and have done a lot of work in that area, to a high number of professional athletes that are taking advantage of this time right now where they can get tuned up and get to a higher level, to a lot of people with traumatic brain injuries, with vertigo, with movement disorders and whatnot, and still also a very high number of people with neurodegenerative disorders. So when people come into our practice, they get a very comprehensive neurologic and chiropractic evaluation, head to toe, looking at all different moving body parts, from checking sensory motor nerves, balance and coordination on a objective balance platform that measures what's called your center of gravity, your limit of stability. We utilize various different technologies called the video oculography or video nystagmography that looks at the accuracy of your eye movements, the reaction time of your eye movements, your processing of your eye movements to smoothness of movement. We could do a reading test and really track how your eyes are reading with something called a right eye. We have a host of different technology that objectifies to the millisecond how your body's moving and how your eyes are moving. This gives us a huge window of how your brain is functioning. With that, it's pretty obvious that once you have that data, it's very powerful, because then you could put together a very specific treatment program that targets those areas of weakness. Chiropractic's an extremely essential part of maximizing motor and sensory processing, and it's a huge part of all of our all the care that we render to all these patients. We also, do a lot with neurologic rehabilitation. Our naturopathic crew is great. We have an IV suite. We have do a lot with IV nutrients, do a lot with functional testing, do a lot with a variety of different things. And my evolution has changed a great deal over the 25 years of practice, Ron. I started off Life West with nothing but the green books. Yeah. And then I realized Guyton had a place. Then I realized Kendall and Schwartz had a place. And then I started realizing that other specialties had a place. And I'd say that the biggest evolution that's happened for me is we became very patient-focused rather than, I'm a chiropractor, you're a naturopath, you're a medical physician, because we really evaluate people and see what they truly need. There's no argument among us. There's no better here or there. It's just a matter of what does that patient need in that time. And I would love for the profession to embrace that, because I don't think it takes anything away from what we do as chiropractors. I think it adds to it. Yeah. And in this time with COVID shutting down the world right now, I look at our jobs as chiropractors as an extremely essential part of the healthcare team. No one's questioning you need more doctors, nurses, or administrative staff, or more chiropractors. If we all do our job, we're just offloading the next person. Right. EMT's offloading the paramedic's offloading the emergency room person, and I believe chiropractors are doing a tremendous job of offloading other physicians. We treated a lot of physicians in the last several weeks, many physicians. Yeah, I've been very grateful that we were here because they're dealing with their own issues. We all are. Yeah, and,
how many people your first week? I mean, I remember you told me something like that, someone came in and how many would have went to the hospital, to the emergency room?
So I've never done this before in 25 years, but I counted just because some colleagues were disputing whether we should be open. I said, if you did nothing but actually saved some cases from going to the emergency room, you've helped the patients, you've helped the doctors, you've helped the system. And so we had literally a half a dozen people. One person with an atrial fibrillation that was tacking away and, syncopal, and we have a cardiologist around the corner. We're able to assess them, get them over there. We had 2 head injuries, one that needed a CAT scan. We were worried about a bleed. We get them into a private facility. Another one we were able to assess. Another one with some dysautonomia. This was a physician with some dysautonomia that was getting a hemisensory loss down the entire side of the body. And she said, am I having a TIA? We took a look, and she had some things taking place that were very much related to her dysautonomia. And, she's eternally grateful. And, a child fractured his hand. So these are not monumental cases, but mom has a kid that fractures his hand. She doesn't want to take him into an emergency room. Are they going to be able to get into an orthopedist to get that done? Well, it may be very challenging. And chiropractors have skills and x-rays and an ability to read an x-ray that we could say, yes, it's fractured. Let's get you right over to a hand surgeon. So that's the boring stuff, right? But on the same level, it's, once again, we're part of the healthcare team. And I would love, and I really, am very grateful to you just embracing how all chiropractors can practice different. We're still part of the same family. Absolutely. So we don't need to think the same, like we probably don't think the same as we do with our siblings and our parents, but we're part of the same family. And if we all just do what we do best, it's just going to make the world and our profession a better place.
Absolutely. And, it's really interesting, Sergio, because many people don't know this about me. And I'm feeling compelled to say it right now. About a year ago this time, I had a major neurological issue happen, and I had to have surgery. And the first place I had spinal surgery, and the first place I went to was your office, and I came, as soon as I got out of the hospital, I was able to be in a car for more than 10 minutes. I drove an hour and a half, depending on traffic, to your office. And my surgeon was so blown away with the reason. What they thought would happen in a year, in the healing process, happened in 4 months, 3 months, and totally blown away, right? And, I attribute it to my body's healing ability, of course, but the work you did, to facilitate that and have that happen. And I just have to tell you, like you just said, everyone has their place on the healing team, and everyone has their loves of what they do. There's people just love upper cervical. Perfect. That's what, that's great. Yourself, the love of neurology and what the body can do and how you can assist the body and do that stuff. I mean, just incredible. And I know this. I mean, I know people fly in from around the country, if not the world, right, to come and see you for just a week, right? They fly in, you do an evaluation on Monday, they see you all week, whether they see you once, twice, I don't know how many times, because we saw that in the office, right? And then they go home, and then you give them work to do or send them to wherever they have to go to. This is so needed, so needed, because that makes chiropractic the first choice, right? Just what's there. And it's beautiful. And the work you're doing is phenomenal. So thank you for all the stuff you're doing. Talk about team for a second, like your team. Obviously you're seeing people, and you've got all kinds of people coming in, and the team, your team has to be on it, right? You're a busy guy. I mean, I know you're practicing safety and all that stuff and following the CDC standards, but how's your team handle all this?
They're doing great. The first thing I told them all was, if you don't want to be here, I'll give you 3 weeks off with pay. And they all stood right up, and they've all been here, and they've been here every day. It's been stressful. We've had to implement a lot of procedures. We're screening each and every patient before they even walk in the office. We're calling them. And going through a list of questions and asking all the pertinent questions to make sure they haven't had any exposure whatsoever. What's very important also is questioning where their family members have been, because there's a young generation that say, well, I'm fine, but they have, roommates that are coming and going. So we're screening people. We're checking temperature when they come in. For those of you that are screening people, we're doing their soap notes over the phone. So it just makes it that much easier. So when they come in the office, they come in, they pop right into a room, and we're taking care of them and getting them out the door. We're using a lot of procedures here, wiping down everything, sanitizing everything on a regular basis. Our ID room is limited to only 2 people in there at a given time. We're separating people. We've really minimized the amount of people that we have in therapy. And so everybody's doing a great job. It's definitely a reset. I have to remind all of our team, the older ones of us that have been around for a long period of time, we're smart enough to realize life will never be the same. There's going to be before COVID and after COVID, and we just need to seize that opportunity. How we need to be thinking and structuring ourselves differently. Telehealth and telemedicine, the fact that we've had a lot of people flying in from around the world regularly, is something that we are very fluent with, that we're checking in with people, because as you know, you can do a phenomenal evaluation with people nowadays just over the internet. And beyond that, the younger people, we have, I have 3 people here right now, one that's going to chiropractic school, another one and this is in the future, another one that's going to go to nursing school, another one going to medical school. And I've been telling them that you better embrace this, because you're here right now in the trench, and your career from here on out is going to be modeled by how we're doing things differently right now, because as you know, the challenges that the schools have and how they teach and how we're going to practice is going to radically change.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is, I think a big shift's going to happen in chiropractic, and I hope it does, having more virtual consultations, that you can literally do consults with people now and then they can come in, and they get to know you, you get to know them, make sure it's the right fit, all that kind of stuff. I just see this happening where docs, at the end of their day, they're going to have a consult for an hour, not an hour one consult, but they'll have consults set up for an hour period, right? Where they'll do their consults, and then the person shows up, you've already met them. Hey, good to see you, Sergio. Good to see you in person. Again, we went over this. Let's move and let's get this done, and get into an examination. I just see that being the way moving forward. Also re-exams. Going over re-exams and re-evals, things like that. That it's gonna really speed up the process in the office, so that you can be doing things when you're not seeing patients that take more time and do them at a different time period. And I see it being like one of the silver linings of what's going on right now. And telehealth is going to be really huge.
There's an interesting thing there, Ron, because my naturopaths can essentially do everything they're doing from home, with the exception of our individual here that's, rendering RVs. So I've seen chiropractors saying, well, how lucky are they? And it's true. They are very lucky for that very reason. But on the same level, no one's ever going to be able to do an adjustment over the internet.
No.
So we are essential by definition right there, because they're always going to have to come in. And, and one thing that we've seen, just a spike in people injuring themselves. We have people, quote unquote, working from home in their home office, which means sitting in front of their TV with three kids crawling on them on a laptop. People are injuring themselves.
Yeah.
Or, still get right back down to basic, and we don't have a musculoskeletal practice. It's not why I got into chiropractic. But on the same level, that's something that's never going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so people know this too, because it's so cool. You have all these exam docs, you hire the naturopaths, and you've got a great crew there. I mean, I actually, have the first-hand experience, and the work that they do and how they prepare and their knowledge and all that stuff. And, probably every one of them would probably want to go to chiropractic school if they didn't want to have to put the time in. They've already did a big program around that. And what you do on a neurological level, what I love, Sergio, is how you work so strongly neurologically, and yet you have the philosophy and understand the power of the chiropractic adjustment. And I will tell our people this, that there's not one person I will let check me, in my area where I have my surgery, and adjust that area except for you, and not my wife. My wife wouldn't want to. Huh? What's that?
It took a while. You weren't so ready for it either.
Yeah, well, I did it, and it took
kind of like a virgin chiropractic patient.
Exactly. Well, listen, man. So after going through what I went through, it's kind of like, oh man, what am I doing here? Kind of thing. And activator, no problem. Blocks, no problem.
We did some lateral bending films. Do you remember? We did some lateral bending films.
They didn't look too good either, man. They looked terrible. That was post-surgery. They didn't look too good. But anyways, Sergio, I just want to say this. I want to thank you. Thank you from myself, and thank you for the profession for the great things that you've done and that you are doing, and you're teaching, and all the things that you do in your clinic. If anyone's ever in San Francisco, make sure that you get in touch with Sergio. Just call ahead of time. What's your website?
Just azzolino.com, AZZOLINO.com.
And we'll put it on there. Difficult cases, whatever it is, man. I refer people to. You're getting referrals from us. From me. It's just when people need work, they need help. They need help. And I consider you. The person that can really help in the difficult stuff. But thank you for the service. Thank you for what you've been putting in. Anywhere from working on the board. The board is such a phenomenal group. And thank you for, all of the educational things, taking our students in, as preceptors or watching you, and you're always open to that. Thank you for all of that, and just thank you for all the work you've done in chiropractic.
Well, thank you, Ron. It's an honor. I mean, very kind words, and I think everybody in the Life West community knows we're very fortunate to have you at the helm.
Well, I do.
You've been able to unify people and bring people together, and, done wonders. And so we're very grateful to have you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that a lot. And to our viewers today, Dr. Sergio Azzolino, phenomenal guy. I hope you learned some stuff, and there's all these things that we can start doing in our practices to make a difference. When we get this post-COVID, whatever the new normal is, what I call it, what that's going to look like. But mostly take care of yourselves. Thanks for checking in. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. Don't forget to drop some love on the people around you. If you haven't talked to someone in a while, give them a call. I think it's really important. Just keep dropping love, finding out where people are at, because some people are stressing and they're not sharing that. And live your life, from the inside out, and just take care of yourself and be ready to get back into practice, because your people are going to need you and they're going to want you, and you're going to be right there for them. So until the next leadership line, thank you for everything you're doing also. Bye-bye.